Chapter 8, Exit Eric, Part 2. Roy was suitably startled and his attention caught. He crouched beside his friend. "What's up, Eric? Are you trying to tell me something or—" "Grrr," growled Eric, and startled even himself. He hadn't thought of growling, it just came out. Roy clutched at his jockey cap and backed away. "Eric?" he said, and then, "You still there?" At that moment something else happened. The plastic curtain was pulled aside. Light flooded in and a voice said, "What's all this about?" Eric, it seemed, had caught more than Roy's attention. "What's all this?" It was the attendant, of course. "That your dog?" Rapidly, Eric retreated under the bench, flattened his ears and looked guilty. Well," said Roy. He looked guilty too. "It's not allowed, you know. No dogs." Now, obviously, at this point, if the attendant had simply asked Eric to leave, he would have left. In fact, he'd probably have made a more orderly exit than he usually did. After all, he didn't want any trouble. He'd had enough as it was. However, the attendant wasn't known to this. "Come here," he said, and brushing Roy aside, he entered the cubicle and made a grab for Eric. "I'll get him for you, sir," said Roy. The sir was conscious flattery. "He'll come with me." But it was too late. Eric was on the run. First he darted under the partition, back into his own cubicle. Then, when the attendant showed up there, he kept going into the next cubicle and the next and the next. Some were occupied, but there was little protest. Eric was in and out so fast he was hardly seen. At the end of the row he emerged and on an impulse ran into the clothes store. This was a mistake. The attendant at his heels yelled, "Albert, grab that dog!" Whereupon a second attendant leapt from a chair, swigged back a mug of tea and joined the chase. Roy, meanwhile, was struggling to catch up. And there we go, there's a picture. Okay, he was hampered by the 2 bags he was carrying. With some presence of mind, he'd thought to gather up Eric's things and bring them along. The chase continued, in and out of racks of clothes, then out and down a corridor into a part of the baths that Eric had never seen before. It was his extra bad luck that the attendants were young and fit, and what was worse, bored. When they could have been expected to give up, they didn't. This was entertainment for them, more fun than clothes baskets anyway. The corridor Eric was in had doors leading off to left and right, all of which were shut. Behind him he could hear the pounding feet of the attendants, and behind them, some way behind, Roy. "I'm here, Eric. I'm with you." Suddenly, up ahead, Eric found more trouble. A woman in a white overall was carrying a pile of towels, coming towards him. Voices behind yelled, "Joyce, stop that dog!" Eric skidded to a halt. She was a wide woman, and it was a narrow corridor. He didn't fancy his chances. He barked a couple of times without conviction. His pursuers closed in. Then, when all seemed lost, a door opened and a pink man with a towel round his middle and a paperback book in his hand stuck his head out. "What's all this?" he said. "Can't a bloke have a quiet bath in here?" As the attendants tried to pacify the man, Eric saw his opportunity and darted past them. Back the way he had come, along the corridor, he met up with Roy. Roy was too breathless to say much, just, "Eric," and a gasp or two later, Got your bag?" Then together, and with the attendants chasing them again, they ran back into the clothes store, out onto the foyer, past the ticket kiosk and the crisp and sweet machine, through the glass doors, down the flight of broad steps to safety. And that is the end of Chapter 8.